Hello and welcome to the Prepared and More YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about how to get water out of your well if you don't have electricity or your pump is broken. While I'm on my Facebook groups and looking around the internet, probably the most common question that I see posed out there for preppers has to deal with, I have a water well, but if the power goes out, the electricity's gone, or if my pump is broken, how do I get water out of my water well? Well, today we have the solution for you. For less than $100, you can make two tools that together will allow you to get water out of your water well. Now there are some more expensive options out there for literally $1,500, $2,000, $3,000. You can get manual pumps, and the price on that kind of varies widely depending on the depth of your well. However, those are fairly expensive options, and not everybody can do something that's several $1,000s as a backup to getting water out of your well. So today's solution for less than $100 should be pretty attractive to a lot of people out there, and it's something you can assemble at home. So let's start going through that process. I have out here the basic tools and supplies you're going to need, and we'll go through them as we do. So the first thing I want to describe to you is what's called a well bucket. And a well bucket simply uses a piece of PVC pipe here. Here I have a 4-foot section of 3-inch diameter PVC pipe. And it simply uses this as something that can go down into the well, and then you can bring it back up filled with water. This particular 4-foot section here will hold approximately 2 gallons of water. And so, you know, for most preppers, we talk about having 1 to 2 gallons of water per person per day as your minimum water supply. And so this would actually bring up in just one single up or down and then up motion in your well, it would bring up enough water for one person. So let's figure out how we make this. So we have a 3-inch piece, 3-inch diameter, 4 foot long, and you can make it longer if you want. It'll hold more water, but it's going to be a lot heavier to bring up. This will already, bringing up 2 gallons, will weigh over 16 pounds, or you can make it shorter. If you don't need that much water or you don't have the strength, you could cut it in half, and just a 2-foot section would do 1 gallon of water. So you can kind of vary the length of this depending upon your strength and how much water you're going to need. But here we have a 4-foot section, so we're going to take this. The first thing we're going to do, I'm going to do a dry fit, and a dry fit means I'm going to put the pieces together without glue. And I'm just going to dry fit this fitting, which is a 3-inch diameter reduced down to an 1.5-inch diameter fitting. And again, this is all these items are available at your local hardware store. So I'm going to just dry fit by gently putting that on here. Then I'm going to take a Sharpie marker, and I'm going to just simply draw a line around my pipe where those two connect. So I draw a line, that's just for reference here. I set that down, put my Sharpie away, and then I'm going to try to get this off of here. So now I have a basic line around my pipe here. Okay, I'm going to then take a drill. I have a 1/8-inch drill bit in here, and I'm going to make 4 holes. And those 4 holes are going to be at opposite sides. So I'm going to put one here, one here, one here, and one here. And so just real quickly, drill those 4 holes. So 1, 2, 3, and we don't have to be super precise, but we just need 4 holes that are roughly across from each other. So I've got my 4 holes in. Then I'm going to take my coat hanger, just a normal wire coat hanger, and a pair of wire cutters, and I'm going to cut off the straight part of my coat hanger here. Okay, all I need is the straight part. Then I'm going to feed this through those holes. So I put it across 2 of the holes. I'm going to then come to this side, and I'm going to bend it up here, or down in this case. I'm going to come to this side. I'm going to cut it off, leaving about a 1/2 inch that I can also bend down on this side. So now I've got a wire through there that it's bent over and it can't come out. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for the other two holes here. So insert it into my hole across to the other hole very easily. And again, bend one edge down, pull it through and cut it off. And then bend the other end down. Again, the goal just being that this is on here and it cannot come out. I need to bend that down the other direction. All your bends need to be the same direction, so we can put that adapter back on. So now what I've got in there, and very crudely, but I've got a cross section there, okay, it's going to hold what is going to be our flapper valve. So we've got that put in there. We are now ready to do our next step, which is to take one of these toilet flapper valves, okay, again, just a few dollars at your hardware store. You can get the cheapest one they have. It doesn't make a lot of difference. And this normally would go inside your toilet tank to help you flush your toilet, but we're going to disassemble it a little here. We're going to first take off the chain. And I just simply cut it loose here with a pair of scissors. So I've taken the chain off, and then again with my pair of scissors I'm going to cut off these two arms. And again, this is really soft material, so it just cuts right off there really easily with a pair of scissors. So I've now taken my flapper valve, okay, and trimmed off everything, taking the chain off. This flapper valve is now got my well bucket here. It's going to sit in on top of these screws, or these, excuse me, these. Okay, stop. Let's start again. This flapper valve is then going to set in on top of these two pieces of wire that are in there. So it'll loosely fit and go right down in there. Okay, so it sits down with the upper part that way. Okay, what we're now going to do, we're going to go back to this part, and this is going to get glued right down on top of that. That will allow this valve to actually float inside here, allowing water in around it when you go down. But when we pull it back up, it will actually seal tight. And I'll show you how that's going to be done here in a second. So now we're going to take our PVC glue that we have here, and we're going to primer it in glue. So first thing we do is we primer. Primer is this purple primer. By the way, this will stain just about anything you get it on. So be careful. But we're going to primer the PVC pipe right exactly in line with our marks here. Okay, so all the way around. That'll take a few seconds to dry. Then I'm also going to primer the other side, which is our fitting. This is again a 3-inch reduced to 1.5 inch fitting. And so we're going to primer that. Let that dry for just a few seconds with the purple primer. This is PVC primer, again available at the plumbing section of your hardware store. Then the PVC glue, which looks like this, goes on. And so again, we're just going to glue both sections here. Again, this is the primer. Once you get it on there, you don't have to worry about acting quickly because it can sit there for forever. But the glue, you got to act fairly quickly to get that done. So we'll get that on there, and then let's slide our fitting on all the way to our wires. Okay, that is glued. It takes less than a minute for that glue to dry, and that will be completely cemented on there. So just in review, we've got a 3-inch piece, 4 foot long of PVC pipe, a 3 by 1.5 inch adapter. We've got 2 pieces of coat hanger that are in there, and then a toilet flapper valve that we've cut up and put in there. What we now have is a well bucket with a valve in the bottom of it. So it will operate in this fashion, but it would go down into the well. Okay, it will allow water to come up inside and fill it up as it goes down into the water. Then when you pull it back up, that valve will close and trap the water inside the pipe. So the one last thing we have to do to this before we're ready to actually use it is we have to put a rope on the end, because your well will be deep and you need to get this down to the water level. So I'm going to switch out my drill bits to a 1/2 inch drill bit. That one was 1/8 of an inch. This one's going to be 1/2 of an inch. So I switched that out, and I'm simply going to make 2 holes to put our rope through. So about 1 inch down, I'm going to make a hole. I'm going to go all the way through. Okay, so I have 2 1/2-inch holes directly across from each other. Clean those holes up just a little bit there. Dump out anything that fell down in there. Okay, so now I have rope, and you're going to need enough rope to get down to the water level, what we call the static water level in your well. And many of you probably don't know what that water level is. Again, one of the common questions is, well, how do I know what the water level in my well is? Well, we have another video as part of this YouTube channel, so look around, you'll see the video that tells you exactly how to determine your water level. Different video, but a great question. So you have enough rope, and again, this is just a 1/4-inch poly rope, relatively inexpensive at your hardware store. Commonly comes in packages like this. This is a 50-foot section. The section I have here is 100-foot. You can tie multiple sections together to make it longer. In my case, I'm ultimately going to need about 175. I'm going to round it up to 200. I'm going to need 200 feet of rope to get down to my water level. So I would take this 100-foot, I'm going to tie it to my well bucket, then I would add on other sections of rope till I got to about 200 feet to make sure I had plenty of rope to get down to my water level. So I'm simply going to insert this in here. Going to tie it up in such a way you can determine exactly what's the best way to tie it for your application. I'm going to tie a knot here that I can use, and it's not going to come undone. You don't want this thing coming undone. So tie a knot here. I'm going to slide this through, and then I've got a knot here that I can use to pull my well bucket up and down. And again, we will talk more about it because we're going to have an outdoor section of this video where we show you exactly how it works. But this simply goes down into your well to the water level. You pull it back up and it will be full of water. Again, this 4-foot section can get about 2 gallons of water when you bring it up and down. So the last tool that we need this tool to bring the water up, but we need one other tool that will help us that's specialized to actually get this done. So before you can stick this down into your well, okay, you have to get the well pump, piping, and wires out of the way. And to do that, you need another specialized tool. So I'm going to set this to the side, and now we're going to talk and we're going to build another tool out of this pipe here. So here I have a 5-foot section of 1-inch iron pipe, black iron pipe. And again, at your hardware store, 1 inch diameter, 5 inches long, and it is threaded on both ends. So I'm simply going to take this, I'm going to put in 2 fittings that I have here. I have a 1-inch T fitting, and I'm going to put that on the end here. Put that on and just screw it hand tight. That's all it takes. Okay. Then I'm going to take, I have 2 fittings here. These are what's called an 8-inch nipple. Okay. So it's 1-inch pipe again, 8 inches long, and it simply screws into our T here. So we're going to screw that in, and then we're going to screw it in on the other side too. So what we've basically made here is a tool that will help us remove our well pump wires and piping out of our well, because that stuff has to be removed out of our well pipe before we can stick our well bucket down in there. So a quick review, we'll show you how to use this, but it is just a 5-foot section of 1-inch pipe, a 1-inch T, and 2 1-inch 8-inch nipples. And this particular device can be used, and we'll show you how to do that when we get to the outside section. Okay, here we are outside, and we're going to talk about exactly how to take care of, get some water out of your water well. So most water wells that you'll find in rural areas, most modern wells, will have a cap similar to this. Now there are some different designs, And I'm not going to be able to go into in this video all the different designs, but this is probably the vast majority of what water wells will look like on a newer water well that's installed in a rural location. It'll be a pipe sticking up out of the ground with a cap like this to it. Very simply, what we need to do is remove this cap, and it's got, in this case, 5 screws. I've already loosened them up, but you can use a socket wrench. In this case, it's 7/16. You could use a regular wrench. I use my driver. It comes off really easily. Once you've removed all the 5 screws that we have here, then the cap simply comes off, and reverse to put that back on when you're done. But now I've exposed to my well pipe, and what I have here is I have my electrical wires coming out. Before you start messing with the electrical, it's really important that you've already turned off the electrical breaker or the circuit that supplies power to your water well. We don't want to work on this, we don't want to do this process when we have power. So make sure your water well, the actual circuit breaker is turned off, and then we can begin doing this process. And what we have to basically do is we have to remove the wiring, the pump, and the pipe that are already down inside here, okay, that bring your well water up normally. Remove those items so that we can put our well bucket down in there. So first thing we have to do is we have to disconnect the wires. Here's, I've got a taped joint. Again, I'm not actually going to do this today, but I would remove the tape here and disconnect the wires so that our wiring is disconnected. Then we can move all of our wires out of the way. Then what we have down in there that we have to get rid of is what's called a pitless adapter, and you can see it down in there. And what it is, I've got one here on the surface that I've purchased at the store, but this is actually, in my well, it's sitting like this down in there. So this pitless adapter goes back, has a pipe that goes back to my house that delivers the water to the house. Then the other end of this, I'll turn it sideways here so you can see, is a piece that comes in and out, and this actually helps us seat the well pump down into the well. So this is permanently mounted. This is connected to a long pipe that goes down to your well pump, and this literally just sits in there and connects, making your water connection down in the well. So to get all the well pump and the pipe that are hanging on the bottom of this out, to get all that out, we have to put something in the top of this and pull it up. So literally what we've made in the first part of this video is we made this T-handle out of pipe, and all it's going to do down in there is I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it down in here, and I'm going to find this piece that's down in there, and I'm going to simply just screw it into it. Very simple. It's already screwing in, and screw it in until it's gently tight. And then I literally just pick up on this. Maybe a little stubborn your first time, but hit it up high. Hit it with a sledgehammer or something if you need to dislodge it. And then you will basically lift this up, and connected to it will be your well pump, the pipe, and the wiring and everything. And you will then pull this out of your well. Now you're going to need at least 2 people to do this. One person to kind of pull up, maybe 2 people to pull up, and then as you begin bringing the pipe, the wire, and the pump out of the well, in my case it's going to be like 160 feet long, and so I'm going to need to have other people to help me get this out of here and stretch it out. But we have to get that pump, the wire, and the pipe out of this well before we can use our well pump. So this is the tool that'll do it. And it's just some manual labor, but you can get it done. So again, we're not doing that today in this example, but now we will remove our pipe here and show you how the well bucket would then work. So we have that. Once everything is cleared out, then very simply we just take our well bucket, again has our valve in the bottom here. We're going to put it down into our well, let it go all the way down to the water level, and then pull it back up. And you just repeat that process. When you come back up, have a bucket ready and simply pour the water into that bucket. Put it down, take it back down again, bring it back up again all the way to the water level, pour it out. And literally every time you come up and down, in this case, you're going to get 2 gallons of fresh drinkable water. So that's how you get water out of your water well if you don't have electricity. Again, All the items I've talked about today, the materials, you can buy for less than $100 at your local hardware store. There'll also be some links for some of these items if you just want to get them off Amazon. We have some links included down below. But if you learned something today, if you like this video and subscribe it, we would appreciate it. And see you next time on Prepared and More YouTube.